welcome back. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you this look right here. Today I'm going to be focusing on just NYX products with the exception of like one or two things. I came up with this look, and one of the items that I used, let me grab it, was this smudge pot from e.l.f. in the color Brownie Points. I showed it in one of my last videos and a lot of you guys said you wanted to see it in a tutorial, so I used this in the look, but everything else pretty much is by NYX. I actually really like the way it turned out. It was really easy to do. So this is going to be another full face tutorial, so let's go ahead and get started. So this has actually been one of my favorite drugstore primers. I've been using it pretty much every single day, and this is the Angel of All primer from NYX, obviously. I'm just going to be focusing that pretty much all over my face, and then for the center, like around my nose and my chin and forehead, I'm going to be using this pore filler. I think it's really good for smoothing out your skin if you have more larger noticeable pores. I actually don't own any of the NYX foundations, but I do use this BB cream almost every day, so I decided to just stick with that for this tutorial. Obviously, since it's a BB cream, it kind of gives you more of like a sheer light coverage, but I decided to do something a little bit different today, and I used a brush, and I actually got a lot more coverage than I normally do, because I usually just kind of slap it on with my fingers. So I would recommend, if you want to try this out but you want a little bit more coverage, is using a brush. I am in the shade Golden, which unfortunately is the darkest shade, and the brush I'm using is from Target, and it's called the Complexion Brush. This is another one of my favorites, and this is the HD concealer from NYX. Unfortunately, I only have this super light shade. I believe this is the lightest shade in Porcelain, but I'm just going to be using that to conceal and highlight as well. So I'm just going to be taking that all underneath my eyes, around my chin, the center of my forehead, and down the bridge of my nose. I love this concealer because of the applicator and the fact that it gives me a lot of coverage. So I just like to blend that out using a concealer brush. This one is from IT Cosmetics. I believe it's called the Airbrush Concealer Brush. How many times am I going to say brush? But it's just one of my favorites to use. I feel like it makes it really easy to blend out, and it keeps a lot of the coverage. So after I finish blending most of that out, I go back in with my foundation brush and I just blend the two together. Just because I was such a light shade, I just like blending it in with my BB cream as well, so there's no harsh lines. I decided to do a little bit of cream contouring, so I'm going to be using this little palette from NYX. Obviously, I need to stop saying that for every product, but I'm going to be using the darker shade, and it's actually a very cool tone color, so I like using this for contouring. I don't so much like the other conceal shades in there. I don't feel like it works very well underneath my eyes, but I do like the contour powder, so I'm just going to be blending that out. Here I'm using the e.l.f. small stipple brush. I actually really like it. It's very small and precise, so it's really good for blending out your cream contour especially. So if you watch my videos, I'm sure this comes to no surprise. I'm going to be using the HD finishing powder in the shade Banana. This is hands down my favorite powder for setting my under eye concealer. It just keeps it from creasing, and it's a very finely milled powder, so it doesn't look cakey underneath your eyes or anything like that. And the fact that it's kind of like a banana powder, it just gives your under eye area a little bit of brightness and makes it look more highlighted. I just feel like this helps really pull the look together, so I'm just dusting that underneath my eyes, and I'm going to be using the e.l.f. blush brush to do this. As for the rest of my face, I'm just using a translucent powder. This one I think was from NYX, and I just like to use a loose powder all over my face. That way when I go with my bronzers and I go in with contour, just easier to blend over top. Now, I wasn't planning on doing this because I feel like I do it in every single video, but this is the color correcting powder also in the shade Banana. I'm going to use this to kind of bake and set my under eye area. This is really good if you struggle with your under eye concealer creasing. This really locks it into place. And I also like using this when I plan on doing my eyeshadow after my foundation because it catches all the fallout, which is why I chose to use it today. So I am using this with my Real Techniques. It's like a beauty blender, and I use it slightly damp. I feel like that picks up a lot more powder. So I'm just going to be using that all underneath my eyes, anywhere else I want to highlight. I'm going to be using this concealer. This is actually one of the dark circle concealers, but I usually like to use this as my eye primer. It just kind of cancels out all the redness and kind of gives me a good base to start off with. So I just apply that all over my lids, and then I go and set it with the cream shadow. The one I use is in the shade Lap Dance, I believe. I just dust that all over my lids, and that just takes away like the tacky finish of the concealer and just makes it a lot smoother to blend shadows over top. Now I'm going to go with this other single shadow. I just depot these, and these are actually really good quality. This is just an all matte shadow. This is in the shade Blame It On Midnight, just a nice neutral brown. So I'm just using a large fluffy brush. This one's from Sonia Kashuk. I'm just dusting that into my crease as my transition shade. So I kind of want to gradually build up the shadows. So I'm going to take this neutral brown. It's a little bit darker than the last one. And this is in the shade Maybe Later. And I'm just using that same fluffy brush and working that into my crease over top. Now to deepen up the crease a little bit more, I'm going to be using this shade in Dance the Tide. It's a really nice warm brown shade. I'm going to be using this Morphe brush. I always forget the number, but it's super similar to the MAC 217. So it's a little bit smaller and more precise. I'm just working that into my crease. This is a really nice warm shadow, kind of similar to something like Brown Script from MAC, but I wanted to add a little bit more warmth. So I went in with this kind of berry shade from the Love in Paris palette. I just added a tiny bit of that over top into my crease. That I just added a little bit more warmth into the look. Now I accidentally forgot to get a close-up of this, but this is just a shot from my last video, and this is in the shade Brownie Point. It's one of the e.l.f. cream shadows. So this is one of the few products in this video that's not NYX. But since it's a cream shadow, I decided to just apply it with my fingers. So I just kind of had to do a couple layers to build up the shadow, and then just blended out the edges. But as you can see, it's a really nice bronzy shadow. I wanted to make the shadow a little bit more bronzy and metallic, so I went in with this shadow, and this is in the shade Bedroon. Hands down, one of the best shadows at the drugstore. But as you can see, I was completely out of frame. I don't know what I was doing. I just added that over top of the cream shadow, and then I went in with this powder black liner. This liner I really do like for more of like a smoky look, but it has a ton of fallout. So make sure you have like a powder underneath your eyes like I do, or just do your eyeshadow first before doing this, because you will have a lot of fallout. I'm mainly focusing this on like the outer edges of my eyes. I'm not taking it all the way into my inner corner, and then just creating a slight soft wing with this. I really do like this liner. It gives a nice soft smoky finish. It's just extremely messy. So after you finish with the liner, you want to be really careful dusting away the excess, because I had a lot of fallout. So I just grabbed a little bit more translucent powder and just swept away that powder I had setting underneath my eyes, and I used that same blush brush from e.l.f. Now I want to go in and bronze my skin, and I'm going to be using this matte bronzer in the shade Medium. It looks really, really warm, and it does add a nice warmth to your face, but it doesn't look orangey. It's actually a very nice brown bronzer, but I just use a large fluffy brush and dust that all over my cheeks and anywhere else I would like to bronze, mainly focusing around the outer edges of my face. Now I'm going to go into the highlighting contour kit. I'm just going to be mixing a couple of the contour shades, and I'm going to be taking this on my Sonia Kashuk contour brush. I really like this brush for a more sharp, kind of intense contour, but I do like to blend it out a little bit. So I go in with my e.l.f. blush brush. I think it's like one of their angled blush brushes or something. I just go ahead and blend that out since the Sonia Kashuk one leaves such harsh lines. Now I'm going to go back into the eyes, and I'm using this jumbo eye pencil in the shade French Fries. It kind of matches that cream shadow from e.l.f. I'm just taking that on my lower lash line. To blend that out, I went back in with the Dance the Tides eyeshadow, the one I used in my crease. I just used that to blend it out so there's no like harsh line on my lower lash line. I went ahead and added a little bit of black liner to my waterline and a thin coat of mascara. I do plan on using false lashes, so I just use this one. It's the Skinny Mascara. It doesn't add much volume, but it just coated my lashes a little bit to help them blend with the false lashes. I used this illuminator, and I'm actually not a huge fan. I've used it before, and I really didn't like it, but for the sake of this video, I decided to use it again. It's not terrible, but it doesn't add that much of a sheen over your cheeks, and I just find it to be a little bit chalky and not very smooth, so I wouldn't really recommend it, but I just wanted to include it just so, I don't know, to let you guys know in case you've been eyeing this. I probably would just skip on this. I really didn't like it too much. To give my cheeks a little bit more glow, I went in with this baked blush in the shade Chiffon. It's just a soft pink blush, and I just applied that with my Real Techniques blush brush, and I actually really do like this. It's very soft, but it just gives your skin a nice glow. I grabbed a little bit more of that illuminator and used that as my highlight in my inner corner. I kind of had to build that up, as you can see, because like I said, that highlight is just not very pigmented. It doesn't add that much of a sheen, but I built it up a little bit and used that as my inner corner highlight. And I finish off the look with my favorite lashes from Ardell in the number 113. They're very long and wispy, and I used one of the soft matte lip creams in the shade Abu Dhabi. It's just a nice, very warm, kind of brown shade that I think complements this look very well. It's very wearable for every day, and I love these soft matte lip creams because they feel so comfortable on your lips. And that completes this look, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below what type of videos you would like to see next. If you have not subscribed, I would love it if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!